So Karen, tell me what you found most interesting about history of China this year.
Well, I really enjoyed making the comparisons between the East and the West, especially on the religious aspects. And I thought it was interesting how we discussed whether the East was more supernaturally based or naturally based, and then the West is obviously supernaturally based. And we got into this discussion just because of the creation stories from each, where the Chinese believe that there was an egg that broke open and then that turned into everything, but then the Westerners believe in a God that created everything. So then we just kind of keep seeing this idea of, is China supernatural or natural throughout all of history? And like originally we thought it was natural, but then we see in the Han Dynasty when Emperor Ling starts becoming more corrupted as he puts more power into the eunuchs and into the empress, when he's the one that's supposed to be controlling the country and he just like keeps corrupting it more and more. Then there was the storms and other natural disasters that ended up causing the people to think, okay, well, these storms have to be a sign. They're a sign from the heavens. They're a sign from the heavens saying that we need a new emperor. And this also happened in the Ming Dynasty with Emperor Yongle, as he was doing the explorations around the world, and it started costing a lot of money, and they weren't really, they were making a lot of progress, but many Chinese didn't find it absolutely essential. So his advisors started saying, okay, we need to pull back because it's becoming frivolous, it's costing too much money, and he didn't. So then 3 lightning bolts, I believe, hit the Forbidden Palace and caused it to burn. Like, it went on fire, and then the Chinese took this as another sign, okay, the heavens are telling us that we need a new emperor. And then shortly after, the Yellow Turban Rebellion happened, and he was overthrown, and then everything just kind of crashed. Then Mao had this similar situation more recently, after he had Lin Biao as his the person that would come after him, and then he ended up turning and was trying to flee to the Soviet Union, and Chinese realized this, so they were already starting to doubt Mao's power a bit. Then there was an earthquake, which was the biggest one in history, and especially like the biggest natural disaster that China had had. So then the Chinese go, oh, well, this is a sign for the heavens, like we need a shift in power. Then a few months later, Mao ended up dying. So to me, this seems like it's kind of supernatural, because heavens aren't really a natural concept. Like, I view them more as a supernatural idea, since heaven isn't on earth, it's not really. But that's my opinion, and so it seems that the people were saying that it was heaven telling them something. That sounds rather supernatural, like it's like referring to a God telling you something. But then at the same time, the signs that were being given were more natural signs. So it just, like, all 3 of these, though they could be coincidences or they could be like actually signs, like they all kind of show the controversy about whether is China really a naturally based like society, or is it more supernatural, or is it a combination of both? And I found it interesting that if you look at what the idea of the natural disasters, like destroying stuff, and then people think that that means that it's time to start anew. It's kind of the same as the Western thought with like Noah and the Ark, and how God had sent the flood so that he could destroy all people except Noah and the animals, so that he could start everything anew and like rid the world of sin and all of that. It's kind of the same concept in both, and I think that it's kind of interesting that although we consider them 2 totally separate things, we say that the West is like completely supernatural and like the East is natural, or that's what we kept saying in class. They're actually more similar than you think, and like it kind of makes you think like, okay, well, does that mean that the East is like supernatural and natural, and then the West is supernatural and natural, or I don't know. It's interesting to think about like how they're actually based. So yeah, I think that was probably the most interesting thing. Wonderful.